Hi there, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Today looking at the latest post from the parents as well as Bob Farrell being called out by Justin Rounds in somewhat of a serious way. There are some receipts and some text messages to share with you today from Justin Rounds' point of view. This is all public, it's been posted publicly and it was done by Justin Rounds. The importance of today is to analyse and understand what Candice Cooley has to say about the Dylan Rounds case, the search dogs, summaries from last year, and if there's any additional new interesting information as well as possible new findings. As for Jim Terry and the talk about a body being found, I'll leave that for a separate video if needed because I've not really looked into it right now. But for those currently here watching, welcome to this live premiere. If you do want to catch up later, you want to see previous videos that have been covered, I symbol top right corner of the screen, you click on that, you'll be redirected there, as well as the playlist to the Dylan Rounds case if you need to do some more research. Down below in the pinned comment, you'll find some additional links if you wish to check them out. And if you want to support the channel in an anonymous way, that's available too. For those watching on catch up, let me know your thoughts. Feel free to elaborate. If you got any questions, list them down below. We don't need to look at previous comments because I think we catched up there. The last Dylan Rounds video coverage I did was probably maybe 10 days ago and it was to do with Bibbins, the latest update there. You want to hear the latest update on Bibbins at least? Well, check the video out from 10 days ago. It might be on the I symbol as well. So we've got a range of different stuff to get through. I want to mention an important point first and I'll reiterate it later on in this video. This theme and talk about Bob Farrell being called out in a negative way and some shocking claims made or suggestions. It's not coming from me, it's what Justin Rounds has said. I just want to document how people respond and react to different situations, those within the case and those on the outside, right? Because certain posts do get deleted with time. There's no harm in archiving it, so you've always got something to refer back to, right? But before we jump right into the deep end, let's at least focus on the Dylan Rounds case itself. You know, what's been going on. We head on over to the Facebook page right now. Let's see what Candice Cooley has had to say. Here we are. I'm just going to scroll on down so we see some of the latest posts 8 hours ago. We need to find Candice Cooley's. There is a post by Justin Rounds, as I said, but that's not on this page. It'll be on Justin's himself. We'll get to that shortly. Candice Cooley, 1st of January. Dylan's legacy missing in American network connecting together as one to spread awareness of Dylan Rounds case, but also future families. There you go. There we go. 1st of January. Just try and click that if possible. What does Candice Cooley have to say? She says, as we move into the new year, we still find ourselves with heavy hearts and wondering thoughts in bringing Dylan home and getting Dylan justice. We are anxiously waiting the hearing in May 2024 and hope maybe something will happen before then. There are a lot of moving parts right now. We will never stop looking and fighting. I guess the interesting part with that paragraph is still highlighting that they haven't got any closer to bringing Dylan Rounds home physically. They've not been able to locate Dylan's body. But at least from, like how Jim Terry has been in recent time, not saying that it is Dylan, but there's a possibility. It's that typical advertising, that language, trying to drum up and cause a hype train. And we've seen it in the past. It didn't really work out. So as I said, I might give you my own, personal thoughts on that in an additional later video. But saying anxiously waiting, that's what Candice Cooley has said, in hopes that something may happen before the preliminary hearing. What are they hoping, for? What to happen before preliminary? Dylan being found, that's what you'd think. But other people have highlighted, saying that when winter time comes on in, from then till up to May, depending on how long the winter lasts, you might not find yourself going out there much searching for Dylan because it may not be possible. The weather, the environment, right? Moving on. Candice Cooley says, this week we will be moving this page into Dylan's legacy. There are so many others that need help and support. We've been able to help some already and we are ready to take the next step. all the items available for purchase will be available Friday, January the 5th. I will post a link with some amazing raffles planned along with the items. Our 501c3 is fully established, so everything will be tax deductible. Proceeds will be distributed to the Canine Task Force Unit and other organisations as we move forwards. We will also move forwards with Missing in America Network to help bring awareness to cases that may go unknown. We want to thank everyone for your support in bringing home Dylan and many others in the future. So I'll just reread the last line so you don't get confused. When Candice Cully says, we want to thank everyone for the support and in helps of bringing home Dylan and many others in the future, meaning it hasn't happened yet, but it could in the future, and so with Dylan, right? So Dylan hasn't been found yet, but that hope in him coming home in the future is still possible. Just wanted to make that clear for you. So more money raising coming up and proceeds being given to the Canine, unit, the volunteer group. It's been done previously. You've seen how effective and how much of a positive impact it's had. I think there is an additional post down below here which talks about the Canine Task Force Unit, once again with additional details. Other organisations too, whoever they are. I'm not sure if this post and what Candice Cully is saying here is linking on to the items and the clothing in the name of Dylan. I'd assume so because we see that photo there. Looks like Dylan's Legacy t-shirt, jumper. You got some necklaces, bracelets, bands, keychains, the sunflower, personalised items like that. And I think Candice Cully said they'll be on Etsy to buy. She did say something about a link as well being provided around maybe January the 5th. So be on the lookout for that. Yeah, it says all the items available for purchase will be available Friday, January the 5th. So be on the lookout for that. If people are interested in it, I'll see if I can get a hold of a link sometime soon. Got raffles, tax deductible proceeds. Right, what about the comments? Might as well have a quick look there. See what people had to say. Amazing, proud, to do good after evil, is squashing that power over you and your family. Dylan's legacy is an example of deep love. Happy New Year. Sometimes I just check the comments out to see if there's any, points made. What's this? Amazing tribute. Oh, prayers. Okay. So that's it there. If you want to pause the video or look back at comments, you can rewind back and pause. The next one here, from yesterday, Candice Cully says, Canine Task Force will always have the full support of Dylan's legacy. They deployed for Dylan multiple times, helped push Box Elder into bringing them in, and the information that was obtained through the canines in Dylan's case put missing pieces together for us we would never have had. And truly never thank them enough. Photo there of one of the dogs, German Shepherd. There is another post there, might have been reshared. We'll look at what Canine had to say, some comments too. We'll get to that in a second. Anything of interest here? So I guess it's like looking back on the impact the Canine Task Force has had on the case and how, in addition with the money raised and given to them, they've been able to expand further. It says they deployed for Dylan rounds multiple times. Is that 2022 and 2023 together, maybe? Says that K9 Task Force helped push Box Elder into bringing them in. Oh yeah, because I guess there was that delay early on in the early days. And it also says, and information that was obtained through the dogs in the case helped put missing pieces together. So what exactly is needed there? What I'm saying is, if this is what Candice Cully is referring to here is to do with 2023, I didn't think there was any more missing pieces that needed to be pieced together. Unless this is in reference to 2022 as well, I would understand. But The reason why I question and have a bit of doubt is because in 2022, when the whole thing happened and the case went underway, that Candice Cooley, Justin Round said they knew from the first few days, the first week in the case of when everything went down, we knew what happened, where it went down, who's responsible. That's it. It's just about getting justice for Dylan, getting Brenna arrested, and finding Dylan's body, and then moving on and getting justice overall. That's how it was worded in the past. They said it with like a form of confidence. We know what happened in the first week, or most of what was found or talked about was within the first week. So was there any more jigsaw puzzles along the way? As it's mentioned here, it seems to be the case, helping put missing pieces together because of the canine dogs. So whatever the canine dogs found, it was important and it was once missing. It's been pieced together now to help a better understanding, but as to what exactly? To do with Dylan directly? To do with Brenna or somebody else, right? Because when it comes to physical items of evidence, from Dylan's phone to Brenna's shirt to the digital forensic dive analysis on Dylan's phone to find that timestamp time-lapse footage, tying it in with it all. Anything else? Maybe not. But some of those items found by humans, were dogs responsible? Maybe, possibly, or dogs were in the same areas at a later point and reacted a certain way, such as the pond. But what I'm saying is, by humans retrieving those items, the boots as well, okay? Dogs have found stuff as well, but has the evidence found by dogs ever been revealed to us or explained? Not really. I mean, it was kind of hush and kind of quiet and filtered through when it came to the dogs and how they reacted in the Grangehead property and where that hole was dug supposedly. And supposedly the dogs at the pond too. But what we looked at a few months ago now, where Candice Cooley highlighted with Canine Task Force that there was 2 verified alerts in 2023, meaning 2 lots of evidence, DNA evidence were found, and one of which was possibly acknowledged months before that in the Sun article when they interviewed Candice Cooley, the US Sun. Don't know what the second piece of DNA evidence is, but 2 new pieces, which could be what's mentioned here vaguely, in that the dogs were able to find DNA evidence which was once missing, which has now been added to the jigsaw puzzle pieced together to help us understand better. And if it wasn't for the dogs, for that push in the first place, they wouldn't have a hold of that material and evidence to begin with, maybe. As I'm saying, I don't know if this is directly in relation to the presence of the dogs, the canine team in 2023 or 2022 as well. If it wasn't 2022, and it's only focused on just last year gone, then maybe there's more than what seems to be the case, like more stuff going on in the background. Hopefully people understand what I'm getting at. It's just because the family seemed kind of confident in 2022 with what went down, what happened, and what was retrieved early on in the first week. But for more evidence to be found along the way, highlighting, hinting at there's more depth, more possible links, important missing links which have just been retrieved now. Maybe they got more than what they bargained for, underestimated this actual case, possibly. Never mind, we'll just see. Can we check that out? There we go. So, 31st of December, so another recent one. We'll read it out because it's all about the canine dogs and to do with Dylan Rounds and other cases, but we'll see. Canine says, as we wrap up 2023, we wanted to share a little about our year. Canine Task Force, canines were paws on the ground for 30 cases in 2023, each at the request of city, county, state, and federal law enforcement agencies in Idaho, Montana, Colorado, Utah, Oregon, Nevada, California, Washington, and Arizona. An additional 9 requests in 2023 are scheduled for deployment in 2024. We declined several requests that didn't meet response criteria, and several more were cancelled for permissions or access reasons. Okay, so as you saw, it mentioned Utah, which will be Dillon rounds. As for the other states, locations, I'm not quite sure what they're in relation to, but obviously other missing people cases and retrieval. So that ticks the boxes there. The bit about things being scheduled for 2024, I guess that ties in with Arizona, because I remember Candice Cooley highlighting that being pushed back into possibly January time. But let's just move on. Our canines had 6 confirmed alerts and a confirmed operational outcome. The remaining operational outcomes are still being investigated, or the results have not been released. So that's just in general across all the different cases. And as for the confirmed alerts, 2 of which were in the Dillon Rounds case of 2023, okay? 2 verified alerts. And I think, if I'm correct in saying, there was a different case, a different location and state where dogs were deployed, and there was some form of success in finding remains of somebody. That's what Candice Cooley highlighted, at least. Let's move on. 7 canines were released from our program this year. Canines are dismissed from Canine Task Force at such time it is determined that they cannot meet or maintain one or more of the requirements regardless of their age, experience, or certification status. Each of these dogs underwent successful career changes and are living their best lives doing other things less demanding of them. Right, so that's to do with the process of when the performance of the dogs don't quite have that high performance anymore, but they're not neglected. There's still a positive outcome there. 9 canines have successfully passed the requirements this year, meaning they demonstrated mastery level or the potential to reach mastery level in each task book skill. Canine evaluations are ongoing and assessed during trainings, deployments, and off-duty to ensure proficiency and reliability in all of the qualifications. The Canine task book consists of 110 skills, most of which have up to a dozen sub-qualifications, each that the canine must meet in the following categories: health and fitness, drive, mental, physical and nerve stability and temperament, agility and obstacles, obedience, direction and control, distractions, commands, documentation, O-descent, annual certification by a master trainer. Handlers and support personnel are also evaluated regularly on 4 core principles and 73 qualifications in the categories listed below. Failure to meet one or more of those result in being released from Canine Task Force, regardless of their experience and certification status. For this reason, 2 human members were dismissed this year, whilst 8 met all of the expectations and have demonstrated unwavering effort and commitment to our principles, values, and achieving the highest standards. So this Canine Task Force been pretty transparent. Right, core values: coachable, does the work, good fit and stays in their own lane; fitness, basic and advanced search and rescue field skills; medical, adherence to ASB and IST legal best practices and recommended guidelines; documentation such as reports, pack track, logbooks, and training aid material, inventory, labeling, using, and tracking. Nearly finished. The team airplane made several trips to Utah, Nevada, and Idaho to transport our teams to deployments, such as the Dillon Rounds case. Handlers drove an estimated combined 17,500 miles for other deployments, in addition to 5 separate certification events in multiple states, team trainings in several states. Teams also traveled numerous times via airline. We estimate approximately $144,000 is spent for 8 active members to deploy. Some of those expenses are one-time costs, but most is reoccurring each year. We rely on the members being willing to front this expense out of pocket each year. This is why we are so grateful for the support we have across country to help us curb some of those costs. Thank you to each and every one of our incredible 2023 donors and sponsors for the generous monetary donations, training aid material donations, sponsors for our operating expenses, private training venues at all 4 K9 TF bases, our sponsored law firm, and the individuals all over volunteering with many aspects of operations at K9 Task Force. We also thank all pre-2023 sponsors and donors that continue to support us. Happy New Year. So that was quite in depth, taking in consideration the Dylan Rounds case and many others out there across the different states. Details, there you go. You got some response there, thank you. There we go. I think I don't think there's any more, but there we go. So, of course, with the money raised from the Dylan Rounds Legacy and was it Ron's Motor Tyres Sports event, which happened 5th of June or July time of 2023. Money raised there, successful, helpful to the K9. Looks like that'll be happening once again this coming, I think, January the 5th, 2024 onwards. See what happens there, how much money's raised. I'm sure it will make a difference. So let me know your thoughts as with those posts by Candice Cooley. Interested in them? And do you find anything new of interest? Let me know down below. A bit about the K9 Task Force, the ins and outs with that, the transparency of them, the shared details of what's required, what meets the cut, what doesn't. And as well, that Missing in America network, them teaming up, I guess, with Dylan's Legacy. That's why when you see the logo, it's like half and half. I think originally Dylan Rounds Legacy was a full sunflower, as it was, with a drone on top and some wheat underneath. Now, I guess it's transformed, merged with the Missing in America network badge of the US coloured flag on the right-hand side. So that's interesting. Ties in line with Candice Cooley previously, Jazz Girlson teaming up. You got the YouTube channel, Missing in America Network, in linkage with Dylan Rounds Legacy, where they do videos and live streams there. Feel free to check it out if you haven't already. And as well, the Missing in America Network website, where it does mention about Dylan Rounds, gives the timeline, the details. Unfortunately, not quite up to date, and the corrections weren't made last time I checked when it came to part of the timeline, which is a bit messy and unfortunate, but maybe it might be changed in the future. Between now and the preliminary hearing, who knows what does happen in real life out there, whether it be silent once again, there's probably high chances of that. But yeah, it would have been good if there was some kind of update interview that took place towards the end of 2023. I mean, I'm sure it happened in 2022. So, you know, maybe it's because they can't talk about stuff. It must be that important, maybe, or there's just nothing to talk about. One or the other, that's what I would say. Like, if it was a year in review with East Idaho News, Candice Cooley, Justin Rounds, and Nate Eaton, I guess that would have been of interest to most people out there, and it might have acknowledged or ticked some of the boxes as to what's previously gone on with a bit more elaboration. Unfortunately, that never happened. Will we see any in 2024? I'm sure there'll be at least one, okay? It might even be closer towards the preliminary hearing or just after that, right? When it goes underway, that's if it does. But, you know, we'll see what happens in between. Now, in between of that, what we need to talk about is Bob Farrell, okay? Not from my point of view exactly, but from what someone else has said, and arguably an important person, right? An individual people will listen to and listen as gospel compared to the likes of Candice Cooley. The person I'm referring to is Justin Rounds, the father of Dylan Rounds. Now, Justin Rounds has already had encounters and trouble with the likes of Jim Terry, private investigator or so, in the very early days, and then a bit later on. And we saw a public post by Justin Rounds calling out Jim Terry a coward. And I'll bring that up on screen to you shortly before we transition on to Bob Farrell. Just to set the record straight as to, you know, the opinions towards others out there, right? Because when it comes to Candice Cooley, if Candice Cooley talks, criticises, calls somebody out, labels someone a certain way, general public are likely to maybe not listen or brush off and say, yeah, whatever, it's coming from her, what do we expect, nothing, no change there. But then when Justin Rounds says the same thing, everybody, well, not everyone, but more people seem to bow down to him, which is interesting. Is it because they know more from Justin's side than Candice Cooley's? I mean, those personal representatives supposedly know more and stuff. But considering that Corey is on or in contact with Justin Rounds and, you know, all this kind of connections going on in the background and information being distributed, but not publicly from Justin Round's point of view. Now it's Corey that does it instead. We've had the fake Corey, we've had the real Corey, supposedly in recent time with the hair and the profile face. That's the real Corey, supposedly. But it's just trying to understand, you know, if Corey was once on Bob Farrell's side and Corey tried telling Bob Farrell about, you know, all the information and Bob going along with it, where do the relations stand now between Corey and Bob? Positive or negative? And how will Corey feel about Justin Rounds calling out Bob Farrell? Well, I'm sure responses will come on in eventually. All I'm here to do is to document, to archive before it disappears. That's already happened in the past. Let's at least present it so you can always look at it. And if in the future it disappears, where you can look back on this video, right? I do want to give some kind of backstory or back context before we go any further, just to eliminate any possible problems, right? If some people don't listen, then tough, okay? I'm going to explain it now. I'm going to explain it once, okay? So what Bob Farrell is being accused of in a suggestive way, a certain label used, arguably quite inappropriate, kind of like a salty pancakes maneuver, but it might be because tension is high, emotions are running, etc. Does it excuse the labeling and stuff? We'll get into that later. Some people might be confused right now. It'll make more sense shortly. But Justin Rounds has called Bob Farrell out recently because of recent activity and communication with Justin, right? What I do want to highlight is there was a time in the past where Bob Farrell supposedly had someone else out there, you know, out their control, impersonating Bob on Facebook with other accounts, fake accounts. Supposedly somebody else out there was imitating Bob Farrell. I don't know how true that is, but that's what Bob said himself. And the trouble that led to was the parents getting angry, more so Justin Rounds, with Bob in the past because a thing said negatively, a fake Bob Farrell account saying bad stuff and maybe even messaging Justin Rounds, you know, to paint an overall negative picture on Bob, right? I mean, I can kind of understand that just because I've experienced it where somebody impersonated me, said negative stuff to make me look bad, right? It's out of my control. I wasn't aware of the fake account. It was weird. It was random. It did get resolved eventually, and people were aware, which was good. But, you know, in a case like this, when it's directly within, those within, such as the parents, it might be harder to try and convince them who's real and who's fake, right? So it is a very small chance that the receipts and text messages I'm presenting to you right now of Bob Farrell are of a fake Bob Farrell. May the real Bob Farrell stand up right now. And no, I'm not going to get into a song or rap about it, but, you know, you want to fill in the blanks or grey patches, leave your comments down below. Bob Farrell, whether you want to type in higher case, lower case, share your thoughts, your response down below if you do need to fill in any additional context, right? But what I'm presenting to you very shortly is from Justin Rounds' point of view, from his, I guess, Facebook Messenger, in which Bob Farrell still to this day has been messaging Justin Rounds about different things, and we're going to be looking at what those text conversations are. Justin Rounds doesn't seem too happy about it. It's kind of sick and tired of it, and also supposedly creeped out as well, hence with the usage of a certain label used, okay? I said, it's not coming from my mouth. I'm just presenting to you what Justin Rounds, the father of Dylan Rounds, thinks about Bob Farrell, okay? Let's move on to this. Here we are. This is the post by Justin Rounds on his own Facebook account. I'm going to zoom on out shortly. There are screenshots to the right and underneath. We're going to go through them in a slideshow shortly, okay? Just wanted to zoom on into one of the photos at least. At the time it said 59 minutes, I guess, last active from yesterday or the day before, whenever. It says Bob Farrell, Facebook. You're Not Friends on Facebook lives in Pompton Lakes, New Jersey. This is all public. It's been presented by, Justin Rounds of all people, not me directly. Just get that into mind. I guess that's Bob on the left in a greenish shirt, back in the past, an old photo. But if we zoom on out, just so you can see the proof and stuff, Justin Rounds himself, 6 hours ago, Justin Rounds said, "Bob Farrell, this guy is a fucking nutjob. I wonder if he is some sort of child molester. He sure sounds like one. This shit never stops." So Justin Rounds is calling Bob Farrell a nutjob. Justin Rounds is hinting the possibilities that Bob is a child molester. Okay? I said, that's not coming from me. That's what Justin Rounds has said. And you can see it clearly on screen. Okay? Now, Justin also says the stuff never stops. It's ongoing. So I guess Justin Rounds feels like he's being harassed by Bob Farrell. Let's at least check the text conversations out to see if it's justified to Justin's response. So as you can see, the aspect ratio has changed because I'm in the slideshow now of the screenshots, the photos. We're going to zoom on into them, okay, on the next slide. I just wanted to keep it in its natural form to begin with at the start, just so people don't think it's fake. This is all real. This is what Justin Rounds has had to say about Bob. Moving on to the first one. The way it seems to be worded, it doesn't sound like Bob Farrell is reaching out to Justin Rounds, but more so a friend of Dylan Rounds or something, and that friend has passed it on the screenshots to Justin Rounds. It might make more sense when we zoom on in. So you got Bob Farrell there, Facebook Messenger from the looks of it. Bob Farrell says, "Hello something, name blanked out. You were a friend of Dylan Rounds, ? The person responds back saying, "Yeah, we went to high school together and hung out quite a bit." Right. So I think what the context of all this is about is a friend of Dylan Rounds has been contacted and harassed by Bob Farrell. That friend has then reached out to Dylan's father, Justin Rounds, about it, and Justin Rounds is, puzzled and annoyed as well by Bob Farrell reaching out in the background to all these connections of Dylan Rounds when it isn't necessary. That explains why, where Bob says hello something, it's blanked out. As you can see, for privacy reasons, Justin did that himself. So it clearly shows that these text conversations are not between Bob and Justin Rounds, but more so Bob and a friend of Dylan Rounds, from the looks of it. Now, who could that friend of Dylan be? I don't know. It looks like the first letter, I'm not even going to hint or suggest. It's been blanked out for a reason, out of respect for privacy. Yet Bob Farrell was able to find out. It says Sunday, 5:09 p.m. Does it say the date? It doesn't seem to, unfortunately. But at least a response from Justin Rounds was, 6 hours ago? So this might be all recent, maybe. Move on. Zoom on in. Right, so the person says, "How come?" Bob Farrell then says, "Hi, Happy New Year. So how long you knew Dylan Rounds?" Right, so this could be very recent. With Justin Rounds' post being 6 hours ago about this, with these screenshots, and going into 2024, a few days ago. Yeah, I think this is recent by Bob Farrell. So Bob Farrell says, "How long did you know Dylan?" The friend says, "I met Dylan through some friends in 2018, I believe." Bob says, "So you had known him for 2 years until he disappeared. Right, cool, maybe 3. The friend responds, "Yeah, something like that." Bob then says, "So what kind of guy he was? Was he a nice dude? Was Dylan nice?" Bob says, "I'm asking this because I am writing a book about his case. So feel free to say anything you know." Right. This is weird. Have I heard this line before? I'm writing a book about this case. Wasn't it Bob Farrell on YouTube who said that somebody was impersonating him, claiming to write a book about the Dylan Rounds case. Is this all a big misunderstanding between Justin Rounds and the real Bob Farrell? I wonder. I mean, yes, it does say it's Bob Farrell's Facebook account, but it could be an impersonation one, right? But these do seem like recent comments with it being saying Happy New Year. Can anyone fill the blanks in, possibly? Because something's telling me that this could be a fake Bob Farrell account reaching out to a friend of Dylan Rounds to make Bob look like a bad person. Because, you know, if you don't know who is who and you just see someone called Bob Farrell reaching out to a younger individual who is friends with Dylan and asking many questions such as, how was Dylan? When did you meet him? And stuff. It just seems a little bit odd, maybe. Moving on, Bob says, so feel free to say anything you know. The friend said, send me your number. I will call you a little later today. Bob says, cool. I will send you my number before you have to answer one question, okay? The friend said, yeah. Bob says, are you okay with calling me? How old are you? If you need your parents' permission. God, that sounds a little bit dodgy, doesn't it? The friend says, yeah, if you're serious about bringing some attention to this and it's been okayed by his parents and closer friends. Right. It's weird, this. Bob then says, and is it true that Dylan Rounds liked boys? The friend says, no. Bob says, just asking. It is cool if he liked boys, nothing to worry about. Did he have girlfriends? This conversation is private. You can say whatever you want. Fine, I'm looking forward to talking to you. Blanked out. Have a good day. The friend says, I'm at work right now. We can talk more later. Bob says, sure, have a nice day. What's that one? When do you get free generally? Evening? Probably get off work. Yeah. Bob says, when do you get free genuinely? Evening. The friend responds back of Dylan saying, listen, man, I don't really feel super comfortable talking about all this stuff. If you want to get serious about this, contact his mom and dad. Good luck. Oh, okay. Well, that seems a bit... Yeah, I guess with this Bob Farrell account asking this friend of Dylan, was Dylan gay? Did he like boys? If he did, that's perfectly okay. Nothing wrong about that. And then Bob Farrell saying, are you old enough or do you need permission from your mum and dad to talk to me on the phone? I can imagine the person on the receiving end would feel a little bit creepy, right? Coming across a stranger like this out of nowhere. So basically, the friend of Dylan says, listen, Bob, I don't want to continue. This is a bit weird. You want to learn more, reach out to the parents. Bob Farrell responds back in capital letters saying, dude, why? Just treat me like a friend. You have nothing to be afraid of. God, when someone says to you, you've got nothing to be afraid of, that is when you do become afraid. It's one of those typical things. The friend says, out of respect for Dylan, I'd feel lots better if I had the green light from the parents. Okay. Bob then says, they told me to speak with his friends. They are totally cool with it. Nothing like that. I know his parents and his grandparents, they're really good people. Right. Zoom on out. And final one, no more responses, but Bob then says, I know his parents, yeah, grandparents, good people. You are friends with something too? His name, right, Dylan's best friend. By the way, you sound like a good guy. Hey, please, think about it. I'll talk to you later. Right. So, I don't know what to make of this. So, after going through those text conversations with Bob Farrell, the supposed real Bob Farrell, unless it's an imposter account, but the text conversations appear to be recent, especially with it saying Happy New Year and stuff. Bob Farrell reaching out to a friend of Dylan Rounds and supposedly wanting to write a book about the case. I don't know what's going on there. Do you think it justifies Justin Rounds' response to Bob, calling him a nutjob and a child molester? Do you think that's a fair point? Do you believe and agree with that? Let me know down below. Let's at least check the comments out. What did other people have to say about Bob Farrell's behaviour? This person says, what the F? Sarah, that is littered with red flags. Dee Dee says, wow, I'm sorry you have to deal with this crap. What's wrong with people? Hugs and love to you all. Justin Round says, nothing to be sorry about. Almost 2 years of this from Bob Farrell. You kind of get calloused to the sheep. I wish so badly these people would come here and ask me these questions to my face. I'd be so happy to see them in person. I only post this so if these arseholes ask anyone else I know, I have no idea who they are. Right, okay. So that's the motive behind Justin posting it out, because the likes of Bob Farrell, or the supposed Bob Farrell, is reaching out to people in the background about Dylan Rounds, and Justin doesn't want it to fall back onto him in any weird or awkward way. So by spreading the awareness here, it might help others learn down the line. Need to be shared. Ken says, why would anybody that cares about you send you this crap in the first place? They should have blocked the soul sucker and moved on. I'm sure you have enough on your plate then to have someone piling on your burden. Just look to God for comfort. He's the only one that can bring you the kind of peace that surpasses all understanding. Nobody that sent you this had good intentions. Justin says, the kid who got this message sent to him had good intentions. It was the old man that was contacting this kid that had no good intentions. Right. So the kid, a friend of Dylan, Bob Farrell, reached out to. And, right, okay. That the kid is a good individual, innocent. Bob Farrell appearing as the old creepy guy from the eyes of Justin Rounds. Ken says, I agree, the old man Bob was up to no good. Why would the kid feel compelled to share it with you though? When my brother tragically passed, the media was calling me and I said no comment. I just hung up on them. Nobody needs to be writing books and telling lies about your son and family. It looks like the kid from the text was going to talk about your son from the start of the conversation until the old guy got weird. Justin Brown says, I think he was caught off guard. He's a kid. I appreciate him letting me know he did nothing wrong at all. And I don't think the kid did anything wrong. I don't know what age that kid is. You know, you can use kid for a young adult. I guess it might be American slang. But, you know, if you're a friend of Dylan or you're related in some kind of way and you get some strangers reaching out to you, very invested and interested and a bit pushy, you know, you might feel a bit creeped out or a bit confused. So the best thing to do is share it with someone you trust. And, you know, Justin Rounds being an individual like that. Okay. What else? Ken says, perhaps my kids 15 and 20 aren't on social media, so I don't have the problems of them running into fake profiles and creeps trying to stir up drama in strangers' lives. The profile looks fake. I think the kid wised up in the end by saying out of respect for the family. I just try to avoid engaging in any conversations with people I don't know that pop up in my private messages unsolicited. Lots of sick people out there that want to be part of the action and insert themselves into the story. Any more comments? Brian, the guy questioning the kid needs to be handled. Christine saying, very creepy, Bob Farrell. Sarah saying, someone looking for 10 minutes of fame. Glad the boy felt comfortable sharing with you. You're a great dad in person, Justin. Keep praying for your family. Andy saying, what is wrong with the people? Tamari saying, as a parent, I'd contact him and call out his creepiness so he doesn't go preying on another one of his friends. So many red flags, prying and lying. If he's writing a book, a good place to start is to learn how to spell. I'm so sorry, as I know this brings you no peace. So let me know your thoughts down below as to what you think about that whole ordeal. It appears like it's happened most recently because the post was done today by Justin Rounds, 6 hours ago of recording this video. Was it 6 hours ago when that kid reached out to Justin? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe these text conversations have been going on for quite some time because Justin Rounds did highlight it's never stopped for 2 years. So supposedly for 2 years, Bob Farrell has been harassing the family and now harassing kids and younger people, asking if Dylan's gay, asking if he likes boys or not, asking is it okay for us to have a private call someday, right? When you look at those screenshots, you look at what Justin Rounds has to say about it, considering people look up to him and listen to him, as I said earlier, it doesn't paint a good picture of Bob Farrell himself. Now, it's important, I mentioned it earlier, but I'll highlight it once again. I do have a feeling, okay, for some reason, a sense that, is it really Bob Farrell? Or is it an impersonation, imposter account of Bob Farrell? Is it Salty Pancakes pretending to be Bob, acting in a weird, questionable way as what he has done previously on other fake accounts to make Bob look like a bad individual and to cause and stir drama? Bob Farrell supposedly doing nothing wrong, but somebody acting on his behalf without consent. You know, fake behavior, fake profile, and acting creepy. So then when the parents, family members, friends of friends see it and then respond back or pass it on to family members, they're going to have a negative first impression on Bob Farrell. But the real Bob Farrell had no clue to begin with, and then eventually down the line, as Bob said, supposedly family members or some important people reached out to him and told him off and told him to back away from the case. Seems like a messy, messy situation. I just want to highlight that possibility of a fake profile and it not being the real Bob Farrell. People may not agree with it, but I just already know, right, that this video that's been made and documented what's going on, and at least from Justin Rounds' point of view, Justin Rounds visualizes Bob Farrell as a creep and a potential child molester. That's what Justin Rounds thinks of Bob Farrell. Whether it be a real account or not, that's Justin Rounds' opinion of Bob Farrell. And with those screenshot text conversations, you could say it kind of reinforces what Justin Rounds says. But I just feel that if there is that possibility of it being a fake account and not Bob, this video could lead to more resistance. Like some people saying, this happened a while ago, or fake accounts in the past, this is nothing new, this isn't me, no, I'm innocent, whatever, right? This place, this video, the comment section can be a place for people to respond back. If they want to set the record straight, feel free to do so down below. Just understand that I'm acknowledging it from the different perspectives because I know Bob supposedly had fake accounts in the past out of his control, supposedly. But then there was times here and there with certain individuals out there who may be on side with Bob Farrell now, but in the past they weren't, and then they were sharing their own little text conversations and receipts with Bob, claiming that Bob was creepy and a bit weird and full on. I think even Kaylee at one point had some screenshot text conversations with her and Bob, and it seemed a bit odd, right? So it's messy. It's to do with the Dylan Rounds case, okay? And it just depends who you are and whether you know the full story or the full context. I feel that maybe, is it guaranteed? Maybe not, but could Justin Rounds delete that post in the future? Maybe. I mean, the screenshots aren't the problem. That's just passing it on to spread the awareness of what's going on and who's out there supposedly reaching out to these younger individuals. But I guess the only thing that might have been a bit reckless from Justin Rounds to be labelling Bob Farrell as a nut job and a child molester. I think that might have been a bit too far. Yes, you know, you can have your own instinct and observations, and that's fine, that's fair. You know, you might be a bit creeped out by somebody, But then to publicly state it and label it, that's kind of like what Salty Pancakes does. And regardless of the platform, could it get you in trouble? I don't know. I know people will say, well, Justin Rounds, what he's going through, being on the receiving end of this type of stuff, being harassed supposedly by Bob Farrell, etc. And obviously Dylan Rounds still missing. You know, it can lead to people acting out because the pressure, the emotions are running high at points in time, and with it coming towards the end of the year into a new year and still not being able to find Dylan, yeah, it might be difficult for Justin. And we've seen Justin how he reacts at times, understandable. But at what point do you draw the line and say maybe that's a bit too far? Okay, not just considering Bob Farrell, but Justin Rounds himself. Okay, so he doesn't get in trouble, so it doesn't harm the case. You know, you can have your thoughts, you can have your ideas, you can sense things, but just appropriate language at times is possibly needed to avoid any further problems. Okay, I don't know why, but just at least from my point of view, I've got a feeling Bob Farrell, the real Bob Farrell, if he sees this, is going to be thinking Warlight Ref doesn't know what he's talking about, that this isn't him that's doing those text conversations or whatnot. I said, I'm just presenting from Justin Rounds' point of view. That's it. But I did acknowledge the possibilities of fake accounts as well. You need to rewind back to catch up on that. I know in recent time I've been stating this or stating that and people don't bother listening. Not much you can do about that, okay? It's there in the video for you to listen to. You want to rewind back or you joined too late, rewind back and make sure to listen in. What's my ultimate conclusion to this? I think it's another messy situation. Is this a situation in which the post is outdated or old, or the text conversations are, or some of it is? Well, it said Happy New Year, so you'd assume maybe 2024, so it seems more recent. The fact that Justin Rounds has only done it now, 6 hours ago, the post, it seems like there must have been something to trigger him for that response to then put it out there. And it must be, as of just recent time, that friend of Dylan Rounds who is seen as a kid, a younger individual, Bob Farrell, if it is the real Bob Farrell, and if not, somebody else reaching out to a younger kid and asking all personal details about Dylan. Seems a bit odd. And wanting to write a book, that seems odd as well. It's just a line about wanting to write a book about Dylan Rounds. I'm sure I heard Bob Farrell, the real Bob Farrell, refer to that line, but it was somebody else impersonating him. That's what makes me think, right? If that really is the case, it's an unfortunate situation for Bob, because with things going on in the background, out of his control, it's going to make him look bad, and it could lead to further problems down the line. What caused it in the first place if it was the case? You know, what caused it? Was it because of Bob Farrell getting on side with Jim Terry, Mr. X at one point, so you get punished for pledging allegiance to certain people because others out there don't agree with it, so then they'll go behind your back, impersonate and make you look bad and get you in trouble, maybe. But if this is all natural and directly from Bob, and there's no fake accounts, it is Bob himself, and that the text conversations by other people that are friends with Bob nowadays who had different ideas back then with screenshots saying he's a bit dodgy, well, does this reveal a different side to Bob? I mean, it's a messy situation. That's all I'm going to say for now. Let me know your thoughts down below. You want to add context, feel free. Will this video cause trouble? I don't know. Just be grateful that I'm documenting it so you've always got something to refer back to, right? I'm going to say grateful. That's in response to the resistance for those that may complain about this. Just be lucky that it's still here so you can refer back to it if you need to contest it. Not the video, but the contents from where it came from, Facebook, okay? Will any other weird stuff happen like this in the future? Maybe. I'd say, as a tip, a heads up, what would I say? Depending what cases you get involved in, sometimes try and be around the right people at the right place at the right time to cover yourself. The natural way, the genuine way. You get involved with the wrong crowd at times, it can make you a target and enemy. And then if you don't have the right people around you to back you up or to spread the awareness of the truth, then you get really screwed and in messy situations, right? If there is a follow-up to this video to whether it be to reinforce, confirm whether it's true that Bob did send those text messages to that younger kid, or if it's fake, whichever outcome, if there is an update, I'll present it to you and I'll try and make it as clear as possible, okay? Now, besides Bob Farrell, if you were interested in the Dylan Rounds talk and you've just joined, rewind back to the start. That's where it's all mentioned. And yeah, we'll leave it like that for now. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Goodbye for now.